Today, the U.S. Federal Reserve raises interest rates. What does that mean for crypto? MicroStrategy promises to save Bitcoin from a potential free fall. And Galaxy Digital's head of mining reacts to New York State's potential proof-of-work moratorium. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Pippa Stevens. Cryptocurrencies popped after the Federal Reserve raised interest rates by 0.5%. Higher rates are typically seen as a headwind for risky assets like crypto, but this latest rate hike was widely expected. By 2:15 p.m. Eastern, Bitcoin traded right around the $39,000 level. Ethereum held steady above $2,800, and Solana was worth about $87. Okay, on to the top stories. MicroStrategy said in its Q1 earnings call that it wouldn't let Bitcoin fall below $21,000. The president and chief financial officer told investors that the cryptocurrency would have to fall about 50% before the company faced a margin call on its Bitcoin-backed loan. To prevent such a decline, the CFO suggested the company would buy even more Bitcoin and theoretically support markets. MicroStrategy reported a loss of $119 million in the first quarter of 2022 as Bitcoin prices fell from the highs of 2021. Next, Twitter's potential new owner is taking aim at NFTs. Elon Musk updated his profile picture to a collage of Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. He then followed his updated profile pic with a tweet saying, "I don't know, seems kind of fungible." It seems like Elon Musk was just poking fun at NFTs, but his every move still affects crypto markets. ApeCoin surged nearly 20% in reaction to his new profile picture. Finally, Hawaii is following a host of other U.S. states looking into cryptocurrencies. The state Senate just passed a bill to create a crypto task force. The group would explore how the state should participate in crypto regulation, but also how it could use blockchain and Web3 technologies. For our main story of the day, Crypto World's Mackenzie Sagalos spoke to Amanda Fabiano, head of mining at Galaxy Digital. The two of them spoke about New York State's potential Bitcoin mining moratorium and whether it's realistic that Bitcoin could transition to proof of stake.
So lawmakers in New York are in the process of pushing through legislation that would ban some proof-of-work mining operations. Can you walk us through where we are in this process and just how close this bill is to passing?
The bill actually, this is the second turn of it. So it died last year when electrical union came out and wrote a letter and said, hey, we actually have gotten a lot of jobs from Bitcoin mining generally. And now it's back. So it was passed by one group and now it still has to pass through the Senate. And so that's where we're at this week with it. It's unfortunate that it's come back because I think we still haven't had a chance for the lawmakers to really understand the benefits of Bitcoin mining for the state. And so that's kind of where we're at now.
Now, for those who are just jumping into this debate, can you give us a quick rundown of what's at stake here? And if it passes, what would change for Bitcoin miners in New York?
The moratorium says that any miner that is not using 100% renewable energy is not able to expand or renew permits. And any miner that is not using 100% renewable energy is not able to join as like a participant in New York. What this means for Bitcoin is a few things. One, Bitcoin will be fine. Just like when China shut down, Bitcoin is resilient. The network will continue to operate. What it means for New York is something different. So New York shutting down Bitcoin mining and really like marginalizing one industry, it makes it seem like New York is closed for business for all things related to Bitcoin mining. And, unfortunately, Bitcoin miners will find a different location. It won't be in New York. So it will drive jobs somewhere else. It will drive economic growth somewhere else. And New York will just, be where they are at now without thinking about like the future of where the industry and where Bitcoin can go.
Yeah, and if talent in New York does leave, where do you expect them to go?
Texas seems to be pretty open for Bitcoin miners. So that could be one location that we see miners flock to.
So how real are the energy concerns around Bitcoin mining?
Every industry uses energy, and energy usage is not a bad thing. It's where people think that something is useful or not. And that's where I think the debate starts to happen, right? Like, do we think that Bitcoin is useful? And I think that's, something that is really like subjective. Bitcoin is something that is a universal currency used all over the world. It's used in multiple different scenarios from, first world countries of investors investing in things like funds to people that use it as a lifeboat, right? To be able to leave different locations as they're like saving. So I think it comes down to utility. When we look at the energy piece of it, the Bitcoin Mining Council came together last year to share and promote transparency around Bitcoin's energy usage. And what we find is that it's sustainable, right? The energy usage is 65% sustainable energy that accounts 50% of the network. We can't really look at any other industry and say, this is exactly how much sustainable energy that this industry uses in totality. But for some reason, we put Bitcoin on a different pedestal.
Is there a better way to regulate proof of work mining in the US?
I would say banning it is probably not the best way to regulate it because it's just going to go somewhere else, right? Miners just seek the cheapest form of electricity that they can get, right, to be economical. I think that if there was a solution where we could think about like growing in a way that was able to meet the state goals, would make sense, which I think miners, would probably be open and willing to do. The hard part is, by saying you have to use 100% renewable, you're really marginalizing an industry because the grid in New York is not 100% renewable.
What do you say to people who ask whether Bitcoin could ever transition from a proof of work consensus mechanism to proof of stake?
Bitcoin doesn't sacrifice security for anything.
Now, obviously, Ethereum is in the process of transitioning to proof of stake, and that's expected this year. Can you talk a little bit about what that means for miners on that network?
Yeah, so I actually focus all of my time on Bitcoin mining, so don't really focus much time on Ethereum mining. But this concept of Ethereum moving to proof of stake has been something that has been talked about for years. As a reminder, Ethereum is still using energy. They are still using proof of work, right? And I think that's one thing that has been kind of interesting to see develop over the course of the last year, with the attack really being on Bitcoin's energy usage. Yes, it's bigger, but there are other currencies out there that are still using proof of work. I don't know a lot about how many ETH miners are in New York, but I imagine that because the energy usage is less than Bitcoin mining, there could be a way that they could fly under the radar.
Before we go, Gary Vaynerchuk joined Squawk Box this morning to react to Elon Musk's jab at NFTs. Here's what he said.
I mean, I can take a picture in front of a Lamborghini outside. Doesn't mean that I own it. I could take a picture outside of a building in Manhattan and say I own it. Most people are bringing their internet brain to the blockchain, so they say silly things like that. The blockchain is a ledger that shows ownership. This is what always happens when there's big technology changes. So I'm empathetic to the point of view, but just by clicking or putting a picture doesn't mean you own it, just like in real life.
We'll be back here again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.